Welcome everybody to Peace and Love, the pulse of humanity, and the pulse of P.U.L.C.E, which stands for peace, unity, love, collaboration, and embrace. And I'm so happy to have with me today Vanessa Ferraro. Vanessa is somebody I've known for a number of years through an international training and development company. And while we never socialized together, we run almost in a variety of different ways. And one of them was in the spiritual realm. And I wanted to talk about some of the actions that we can take to have our spirits be at peace and filled with love at this time period. And I'm going to give her an opportunity to introduce her wonderful self because her to know herself. So welcome, Vanessa. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you. Very excited to be here with you. Very excited.
Awesome. So why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So you already explained how we know each other. My name is Vanessa. I am a soul healer and soul wisdom keeper, and I say that humbly. I think we all are to a certain extent, but my background ranges. I started as a Reiki master teacher with a very big practice here in Toronto, about almost 300 students over the last 5-6 years. And then I started combining my work with my marketing background, and I do soulful strategy for spiritual entrepreneurs online. So specifically with women, I have amazing male clients, but that focus actually had me found the Wealthy Goddess Movement, which is my company. And we have various different programs that support spiritual healers, teachers, yogis, transformational leaders in literally just like packaging, positioning, and scaling their business online so they can reach more people and serve more people. That's what I do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So given that you've trained all these leaders out there in the world, the yogis and everything like that, tell us from your perspective of what you're trying to bring out from them and from them to their other people. What is it that we can be doing or thinking about, or where to come from at this time, or how do we shift ourselves spiritually from fear and reaction into something of peace, love, and proaction? And I know I asked a big question. I want to give you a leeway,
right?
Like just, be expressive in what you have to say at this time.
Thank you. So there's a few questions in there, and I'll start with saying that in terms of what has supported me to stay super grounded and peaceful and calm in this most transformative time that we find ourselves in has been the spiritual work that I've been participating in for more deeply, I would say, and more disciplined in the last, it started about 5-6 years ago, but I'd say the last 2-3 years has become very narrow focused on aligning my entire life, including my business, my service, my activities, my social network, my dating life, everything in my life, every facet. I've really been intentionally bringing it together, focusing on bringing it into alignment with my spirit and my soul. Okay. And I do that in business. I do that with my clients, and I do that with myself. And so that practice, I didn't know this was coming. None of us knew, I think. It happened so quickly, the times we're finding ourselves. So that has really helped me and supported me. And I'm very grateful because I feel like I was being prepared for this and I didn't know it at the time. Right. And now that I'm here, the calling from within my heart and soul right now is to go deeper into my practice, become even more disciplined in how I choose to react and process all this information that's coming to me lately, and to share this wisdom with others, which is why I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to connect with you.
So it's really interesting that you say about the preparedness, because when I look at a whole variety of different things, I think that the universe was preparing us already. What's a good example? Gary and I were thinking of a good example this morning. I can't think of one offhand, but there's a variety of different ways that the universe has already been preparing us, whether it's, for me, I can speak from experience. So for me, I can say that I haven't had a steady stream of clients since the end of December. Couldn't understand what the heck was going on. Like, what is it? And then so for me, it was clear that I was going through a transition, and there was some kind of shift. And while I didn't know which way my boat was turning, so to speak, I knew I've been adjusting, and I've been doing whatever actually prepared me to be in this time period, and without a hiccup, kind of thing. A good example of that, of me personally being prepared for this time. I think also, just to say one more thing, is that when Greta Thunberg was talking about climate change, September, October, and November, and she was rallying the world together, the fact that she rallied the world together as a community, right, actually was a precursor to the world rallying together over this. I'll be quiet to talk.
No, I love it. I love what you're sharing. This is a conversation, so it's great. No. What you were just saying in terms of, in December, this shift was happening in your own personal life with business. I think each and every single one of us at some point and degree in our life has had to deal with some kind of loss or some kind of expectation not fulfilled, or some kind of turn of events where you're like, oh, like I wasn't planning on this, and now this is happening. We've all had that, either through relationship or a loss of a job or moving to a different country. It really does vary according to your personal story, but we've all experienced this. And I think all of that was in preparation for what's to come. I think we can all go back and find strength in our stories and what we had to let go of and keep flowing with, and trust and surrender and show up and have faith. I think it's important we all remember those times right now, and remember that we are capable of that, and that humanity has survived many things. And we're going to survive this, and I think we're going to thrive off of this. I do.
So what makes you think that?
So to be quite honest, my spiritual beliefs are very mine, and they don't need to be for anybody else's. And so it's important to understand that the reason I believe that is because of my spiritual beliefs, and not everybody adheres to faith or God or divine or those things. And that's okay. But it gives me peace, and it gives me strength, and it gives me that hope of the silver lining at the end of the tunnel. And that is what gives me that peace. So I say that because every other area of my life where I thought things were going to the wrong way, it always happens where something beautiful turns out. And then I'm like, oh, I couldn't have seen that at that time. But the universe did. So I think I'm trying to be careful right now in how much I share and what I say, I'll be honest, because I don't want to ruffle too many feathers. But the way that our society was operating before, I don't think was working for anybody. I don't think there's a lot of things that are working on Mother Earth. And I think, and I can hope that at the end of this experience, where we're all being forced to go inwards and really face ourselves, that we'll come out on the other side with more love and compassion and kindness and forgiveness and community than we did going in.
I couldn't agree with you more. I saw this such an interesting post on Facebook a couple of weeks ago that said it feels like Mother Earth all sent us to our rooms to think about.
Yeah, I saw that post. I loved it.
And it was like, oh my God, that, and if I'm thinking about what I've done, I'm shifting what I've done potentially that would support, whether it's being of service to somebody or being more kind to myself or to the earth or the planet or whatever. I'm shifting what I'm doing in that. Hopefully I'll be able to come out of my room.
Right. I mean, we have to acknowledge that there is a perceived problem right now, right? Like there is a problem that's occurring right now. And for us, and for most of us, depending where you're watching this from, the problem is COVID-19. The problem is this thing has happened in our world. It's all over the world. It's happening to Mother Earth, to us. And the pain of that is different for everyone, right? So for some people, they're losing their jobs. I'm in an online world. Like I've been online for a long time now. There are lots of people I know that are making a lot of money right now. So it's interesting to me to see these huge reality differences, like totally different vibration, frequency, and realities all happening at the same time. So the problem is this thing, this perceived thing, COVID, and the pain is different for everybody, right? Some people are forced to stay at home and be really close to family they don't want to be with. Like the pain is different for everybody. And facing that pain is the opportunity here. It's like, if I don't deal with this, if I don't thrive in this, if I don't do the work right now, the consequence is I'm either going to be left exactly where I was before this thing, worse off, or better. Like those are our choices. And so I think it's really important for everybody to be acknowledging, okay, what is the pain and the suffering that I'm dealing with in my life? Because it's only highlighting what wasn't working. That's all this is doing. It's highlighting what wasn't working already. And we need to either bring solution to it or ignore it and Netflix and chill and then wait till this passes over. And I think that'd be a really missed opportunity.
Do you think it's going to pass, or do you think things will just shift?
My heart tells me this is just the beginning of many, many other breakdowns in our world. It's not a singular thing and everything's gonna go back to normal. I also saw another post that said, I don't want things to go back to normal. Normal wasn't good, right? Like, why do we want things to go back to normal? I think it will never be the same. I don't think it will always be like before, like BC and AC. Before Corona, after Corona. So I think it's the beginning of a lot of shifts, a lot of awakening, a lot of awakening.
It's interesting because I think that when you go, let's say in 15 or 20 years from now, and you show a kid a picture of a crowd, you'll be able to say as an older person, remember when we had crowds? Remember when, there were concerts, there were like a whole variety of different things that I think are going to shift. How permanently they shift, I don't know, but I think for a while they're going to shift.
Yeah, I mean, as a spiritual like seeker and teacher and guide, like I'm constantly looking at what are these subtle messages that are being communicated here. So I love that you said this. The science of soul is that we're all speaking the same language. So soul, spirit in quantum physics would be referred to as information. It's the message within the field, right? The quantum field. So the information in the field is the message. It is the spirit. It is the soul. And everything has a soul. Everything has a spirit. Everything. Corona has a soul. Our country has a soul. Canada, our province has a soul. I have a soul. You have a soul. My business has a soul. Why I'm bringing this up is that all this different information is intertwined and quantumly entangled with one another. And when I look at the soul, the message behind what's being given to us through media, through Facebook, through all kinds of stuff, it's just a lot of fear. It's a lot of separation. It's a lot of anxiety. It's a lot of, we're actually being told like it's not safe to breathe. It's not safe to breathe. Imagine like that subtle message that's being given to us. Even when this passes, people are not going to run back into society and start interacting with each other and hanging out in big groups. This is going to be a long-term effect. And the way that the government has chosen to handle things has directly pretty much annihilated small businesses. Like, you can no longer survive or thrive, I think, without being online. So everything's going to be amplified online. And I'm really afraid, like my fear is different than most people's fear. My fear is that this is going to separate us more. So my job is to keep looking as to how can I bring more connection? How can I bring more community? How can I bring more love and peace and harmony, and insert that information into the field? Because there's a lot of like negativity and fear and anxiety.
There is. So what can you offer us as an action or something that we can do or take or an access to where we can help diminish that fear when it shows up?
So fear is an emotion that's trapped in the body. So we just need to recognize that that the fear is there. It's not to ignore it or try to control it, but to feel into it and to bring in more love and peace. So one thing is to just realize the present reality of where you are, that you don't need to go into fight or flight. You don't need to go into fear. So like right now, I'm in the comfort of my home. I'm drinking a delicious hot coffee. The sun is beaming into I'm talking to you. Like, this is my present reality. Any other fear is like perceived. It's outside of me. I'm actually safe. So I think it's important when we go into fear or we feel fear is to kind of look around us and be like, is there anything to be truly afraid of right now? Is my life being threatened in any way, shape, or form in this present moment? And then when you realize it's not, that should, to a certain degree, bring you back to some calmness. And then it's like breathing. Breathing is very important right now. Like I said, we're subconsciously being told not to. We need to be focusing on breathing into our lungs, into our belly, expanding that movement of energy and chi, and actually reprogramming ourselves by saying like, I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. It's so simple. You can literally just put your hand on your heart and your belly, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths in, and remember, I'm safe, I'm safe, I am safe. I am here. You can start describing the room. I'm in my house, I'm in my room. I have a fridge full of food. I have running water. You start talking about all the beautiful things that you have and all the abundance you have, and remind yourself that you are safe. And when you're in that space, then you can start looking at what's next to do.
Right. So if I'm sitting here and I'm feeling safe and I'm acknowledged all the blessings around me, and then the sneaky thought goes, yeah, but how am I going to get cash flow to pay my rent in a couple of weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I just answered my own question. I can get that can come from a place of calmness as opposed to a place of fear. It's okay to feel that and to think that. It comes from what state of being is that coming from?
Yes.
Coming from panic, it's one thing. And if it's coming from a place of, let's call it creativity, it's a whole other realm of things.
Yeah. And because then you're reacting and going into reaction mode, and the energy behind that franticness or whatever, it actually keeps you in fight or flight, right? Fight, flight, or freeze. That's what people are doing right now. Fight, flight, or freeze. So you kind of need to assess, where am I? And then if you notice, okay, I'm in freeze right now, I don't want to be in freeze. Like, I just want to point this out to anybody that's watching right now and that's worried about paying bills and where's the money going to come from. And I want you to know that 90% of humanity right now is freezing. 90%. 90% are tuning out, watching Amazon Prime, Disney, Netflix. They're, probably going to apply for whatever, and if you need to and you can and you qualify it for it, sure, go apply to whatever money that the government is providing. But it's not a lot. It doesn't matter. It's not going to be enough in the long term. So the point is, like, you need to recognize it's freeze. Everybody's freezing. So if everybody's in freeze for the next 4 to 6 weeks, and then slowly things start to pick up again, at the end of that 4 to 6 weeks, 8 weeks, where are you going to be? If everyone else is freezing and you take action, that you're one of 10% of humanity that's taking action. That 10% is the leadership that I'm looking for. Those are the people I want to hang out with. And it doesn't matter if you're starting with nothing in your bank account or you're starting with 100,000 in your bank account, because this is so fascinating. I'm glad we're talking about this. I was just talking to someone in a mastermind group that I'm a part of, and they're freaking out. They lost a lot of money in the stock market and this and that, and they're relying heavily on their online assets to make more money. Now they have something to support the loss over here of something else.
Right.
But more than that is they have the mindset that they know they can make it happen. Right. So they're ready to go, and they're freaking out on one hand. They're getting proactive. They're not freezing. They're not focusing on the loss. They're focusing on what they can do to support the loss and to ensure. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So one of the things that I did recently meaning in the last couple of days, 2 or 3 days ago, is I sat down and I said, okay, if we're in lockdown for another 2 weeks, what do I want to look back and say I did with my 2 weeks? And it kind of put into perspective the stuff that I was doing versus what I'm not doing. And I said, hey, if I'm being given this gift of time, everybody says they don't have time, but now they've got a gift of time. What are you going to do with that gift of time? And for me, it's going to be putting out my online course, which I haven't done for 2 years or 3 years or something like that. So, but at the end of 3 weeks, I can be well on my way to having that done and ready to be launched. And I'm going to have to stop doing some of the other things that I'm doing, whether it's courses or videos or a lot of the courses that I'm doing have modules and videos to watch. I have to put that down for 2 weeks so that I can say that I'm prepared at the end of this 4 to 6 weeks. I think it's not going to be 2 weeks, and I don't think it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks, because I just heard that the Toronto government is going to keep Toronto under lockdown for 3 months. So there's some way that people need to take on. I took on looking back as if I was in the future to shift what my actions were going to be today. And I think that could be one of the things that people can take on to do.
I think there's a lot of possibility and freedom right now. If we're stuck at home for the next 3 months, like, you have to understand, for me, my lifestyle hasn't changed. I work from home for the last 2-3 years. I see clients via Zoom. I do online group stuff all the time. Nothing has really changed for me. The only time I recognize the real change is when I want to go see my family and I can't, or I go to the grocery store and I have to wait in line and wear a mask. Like, that's weird to me, but everything else feels very normal. And for those that it doesn't, I really, like, this is the time, to focus on what makes your soul happy. And what I mean by that is, if your soul wants to do something, you need to find out a way to do it online and do it online. Like, that's the way to do it right now. And invest in that. Take the money the government gives you, invest in learning the things that you need to learn to start building your online business, so that you have multiple streams of revenue, so you can support yourself online. Like, that is where we're going. That's a fact. And those that don't catch on to that are going to be behind. And I don't know who's watching this that has no, like, there's a lot of people that are starting with nothing, that had nothing to begin with. They have that mentality, you know, it's like, I had nothing to begin with, so I have nothing now. So what's the difference for me? And that's the thing. You had nothing to lose. There's a lot of people that lost a lot of stuff in the last bit, that they're dealing with the emotional and mental repercussions, and they have to process that, and they have to integrate that, and they have to heal, and then they have to come up. Right now, a lot of people are given the opportunity to start from nothing, and that's okay. Like, it's like a reset button. You know, it's exciting. Like, you can actually shift and build something really valuable and purposeful in the world. And that's all that's going to matter, I think, moving forward.
What I hear in what you said is that each one of us as individuals is getting a do-over.
Yeah, 100%. Even people that built their businesses on stuff that really didn't matter, that stuff's not going to sell anymore.
Right.
You know, like freedom entrepreneurs selling their, you know, I make fun of this, but it's like, it's called the bro economy, like fancy Lamborghinis and going to the beach and going, like, none of that is going to sell anymore. We're dealing with real stuff. So you need to look at, people want certainty right now. People want security. People want to feel safe. How can you support them in doing that? That's what you need to be focusing on, and humble yourself, because that economy and that type of lifestyle, it's done. Thank God. Like, I would rather people focus more on how can I truly serve and make a difference for my community and for humanity, and trust that that is profitable, because it is 100%. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So we could probably go on for quite a while, but
Yeah.
last words or anything in particular that you want to share with our audience?
I was watching a show called Ascension Keepers. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's on Gaia TV. It's a really fabulous show. And there was an episode talking about the time that King Josiah took over and was replacing a bunch of doctrines and faith systems with his new system and his new way of being. It's what eventually birthed the Ten Commandments, I believe. And he forced everybody. It was illegal to look at the sky. It was illegal to look up to the stars. He did not want people to find any connection with the outer world. He didn't want people to start contemplating existence and what is the soul and what is the spirit and how did we get here and why am I here? He didn't want any of that. So it was illegal to look at the sky. And the reason I'm sharing this story is because I feel that our society is breaking down and we're no longer going to have to be distracted by everything that's happening here. And I invite people to really look at the stars, look up at the sky, remind yourself who you are, this human being on this huge little planet. It's huge and little all at the same time, this rock that is spinning in this massive universe that belongs to only one galaxy. Like, if you can do anything at this time, it's go inwards. Don't distract yourself and look down and focus on all the crap. Look up and look within and find that space within your heart for some peace, and then follow that peace to your next action step and keep going and keep going and keep going. And just trust and know that there's a lot of humans out there that are doing the same thing, including myself. And we're holding it down for new beginnings.
Awesome. I think on that note,
yes,
it's like a perfect time to end this conversation. Thank you so very much for being with us today and imparting all these, good way to say this, good vibes.
Mm-hmm. Good vibes only.
You know, yeah, just feeling all this wealth of great feeling for living at this time period, quite frankly. So thank you for.
Thank you for having me.
So great to have you, and I'm sure we'll speak again in the future. Bye for now.